I'm going to discuss genetically modified bacteria to create a washing powder. Now, washing powder, when you get a food stain could be, three different things. It could be either carbs, it could be fats, or it could be a protein. Now, we got to break these long chains into something a bit more simpler. And the thing that we use to break down these things into something simpler is using something known as an enzyme. So the specific type of enzyme that will break down proteins is known as a proteasase enzyme. This is good for breaking down things like blood stains, because blood is basically red blood cells, a protein that you want to break down, as well as food stains. And this gets broken down into something called amino acids, which are very small blocks these are very small blocks that are joined up together to make a protein. Or they could get broken down into something called peptides. Peptides are a bit longer than amino acids. So it's like several amino acids are joined up together to make peptides. Peptides you join up together to make a protein. But both of these are soluble in water. So when you break down the protein, it's insoluble. But when you break it down into something simpler, like amino acids and peptides, they can actually dissolve in the water. They are soluble in water. Now, fats and oils, they get broken down, and the specific enzyme that breaks them down is called lipases enzymes. So things like grease, oil, butter, all of these things. And the fats will get broken down into glycerol plus fatty acids. Usually it's three fatty acids. Joined up to a glycerol. Usually that will make up fats. And again, these are soluble in water. Now, carbs, also known as starches, they get broken down by an enzyme known as amylase. Now, how do we get these enzymes? So the genes that are responsible for creating these enzymes are identified and isolated. So we need a gene that will produce amylase, a gene that will produce lipase, and a gene that will produce protease. These are all enzymes that will be breaking down food molecules. And again, just like before, you get that specific gene, you put it inside the plasmid, you open up the plasmid, you put it inside, and then you replicate it in a fermentator. After you get that bacteria that now has all of those plasmids, bacteria, and then you got several different bacteria. So it will be looking like this. This is the bacteria that you've now replicated. And inside the bacteria, I've just drawn these little C's. And the reason why I drew these little C's is these little C's are actually plasmids. And they have this specific gene, which I'm drawing in a red. They got that specific gene. Now, that specific gene could be producing different types of enzymes. You obviously know what type of enzyme you're producing because you'll use a specific type of gene that will produce that enzyme. So a gene that will produce protease enzymes. There's a specific gene that will produce amylase enzymes that will break down starches. And there's a gene that will produce lipases enzymes, which will break down fats. After you harvest the bacteria, and then after you get the bacteria, you will extract the actual genes. Now, the bacteria actually, because they got these genes inside them, they are actually producing the enzymes. So we get the enzymes from all of from the bacteria that has been producing these specific enzymes, because these bacteria have the genes that are producing these enzymes. And then the enzymes have to be purified to remove all the bacteria. And then these enzymes can be put into washing powder, which then can be used to break down food stains. Now, because these are enzymes, they are usually operating at body temperature, so they'll be good at a cold wash. They won't work very well at a very hot wash. So when you're using biological enzymes that are put into washing powders, you have to use a specific temperature. So because they make the cleaning more efficient, you don't need to waste so much energy using hot water to clean stains, which is typically what some people do, because now you can put your washing machine at a colder temperature, saving energy and not, destroying the planet.